There was a time when trucks were built to work, not win beauty contests. But in the wild, gas-soaked landscape of the 1970s, something strange happened. Automakers started experimenting. They took risks. Some went full muscle. Others tried to turn pickups into luxury liners. A few got downright bizarre. And in the process, they left behind some of the rarest and weirdest pickups the world has ever seen. Take the Dodge Dude, for example. Built between 1970 and 1971, this truck was Dodge, trying to lure in younger buyers without changing too much under the hood. What they did instead? Slap bold graphics on the side, give it a cartoonish dude decal, and offer it in loud colors like Go Mango and Plum Crazy. It was pure marketing madness. Only about 1,500 were made, and most have rusted away or vanished. But if you see one today, you'll know instantly. That's not just a Dodge, that's a statement. Then there's the GMC Bo James. Sounds fancy, right? That's because it was. In 1975, GMC figured out that maybe, just maybe, some folks wanted a luxury pickup. So they gave the Bo James a two-tone silver and blue paint job, velour seats, and thick carpeting. The kind you'd expect in a Cadillac, not a truck bed. It even had a gentleman's truck badge. But it was a sales flop. Few survived, and even fewer people remember it existed. But weird doesn't always mean plush. Sometimes it means raw and wild, like the Chevy Blazer Chalet. Yeah, it looked like a K5 Blazer got swallowed by a camper. That's because it basically did. This bizarre 4x4 mashup came from GM and Chinook campers in the late 70s. You could sleep in it, cook in it, and still take it off-road. Fewer than 2,000 were ever built, and they were only sold for a couple of years. It wasn't exactly practical, but it sure was unforgettable. Ford wasn't about to let GM and Dodge have all the fun, so they dropped the freewheelin' F-Series. Not a special trim, not a performance upgrade, just pure vibes. You got wild stripes down the side, bold colors, and custom wheel options. It screamed disco-era attitude. It was only available for a brief run, and even back then, it was a niche choice. Now, you have better luck finding a unicorn in a junkyard. And then there's the Jeep Honcho. This was AMC's attempt to make the Gladiator pickup cool. And somehow, they pulled it off. The Honcho package brought oversized fender flares, body-side stripes, a Levi-style denim interior, and serious off-road cred. It looked like a truck that should have been driving through a spaghetti western. Built in low numbers and often abused off-road, surviving Honchos are collector gold today, especially the ones with the factory 401 V8. Not everything that came out of Detroit was flashy, though. Some of it was just strange. Case in point, the Subaru Brat. Technically not a truck by American standards, but it had a bed, four-wheel drive, and the weirdest selling point of all time. Rear-facing jump seats bolted into the bed to get around import taxes. You read that right. Subaru put seats in the open air just to dodge the chicken tax. It was weird, it was tiny, and it was unlike anything else on the road. Another oddball, the Dodge Warlock. Introduced in the late 70s as part of Dodge's adult toys line, the Warlock was all show. Oak wood trim in the bed, gold accents, custom wheels, and a factory roll bar. You could get it with a 318, 360, or even a 440 V8. It looked like something out of a custom car show, but you could buy it straight from the dealer. They didn't make many, and fewer still have survived with all the original flash intact. And don't forget the Chevrolet C10 Big 10 Bonanza. Yeah, it sounds like a TV game show prize, but it was actually Chevy's clever way of skirting new emissions rules. Trucks over a certain GVWR didn't have to follow the same smog requirements, so Chevy beefed up the payload, slapped on Big 10 decals, and let the 350 and 400 breathe freely. It looked like any other C10, but under the skin it was louder, faster, and slightly more rebellious. And for a few thousand buyers, that was exactly the point. In a decade full of bold ideas and bad decisions, nothing quite matched the Ford Courier Pinto front conversion. Built by aftermarket companies in extremely low numbers, this Frankenstein took a Mazda-built Ford Courier pickup and grafted the nose of a Ford Pinto onto it. Why? No one really knows. Maybe for looks, maybe to save on parts, maybe just because they could. It looked confused, drove like a go-kart, and today, it's almost impossible to find. Less than 100 are believed to have ever existed, and the ones that do, straight up conversation starters. Then there was the GMC Sprint SP. Think El Camino, but with more aggression and less recognition. The SP package was essentially a sleeper muscle car in a pickup shell. Optional 454 cubic inch V8, heavy-duty suspension, and minimal badging. It was faster than it looked and built in microscopic numbers. Most buyers went for the Chevy version, leaving the GMC Sprint to fade quietly into obscurity. But if you ever see one with the SP badge, you're looking at a unicorn with a license plate. Chevrolet had its own oddball too. The C31-ton dually camper special with a factory-installed Winnebago body. A handful of these were delivered straight to RV shops already wearing the Silverado badge up front and a house on their back. Built for long-haul vacation warriors, but too expensive for most blue-collar buyers. Few were made, fewer survived, and most of them got torn apart or left to rot. But restored, they're weirdly majestic. Half pickup, half motorhome. All 70s madness. Now here's one from the Chrysler vaults, the 1978 Plymouth Trail Duster. Most people remember the Dodge Ram Charger, but the Trail Duster was its corporate twin. Problem was, it didn't sell nearly as well. Plymouth wasn't known for trucks, and that hurt it. But what you got was the same removable top SUV utility, same big block options, and the same ability to conquer back roads like a lifted tank. Only a few thousand were sold before Plymouth gave up on the idea. Today, it's the rarest of the big three SUV truck mashups, and a hidden gem if you know what to look for. Then you had trucks like the Ford F-250 Crew Cab Camper Special. While Ford made crew cabs available as early as the 1960s, they were still a rarity in the 70s. Combine that with the factory camper special equipment, reinforced springs, dual batteries, upgraded cooling, and you had a seriously capable hauler built for the long haul. The problem? They were expensive and hard to find. Most buyers settled for regular cabs, but the crew cabs that did make it into garages have become absolute collector bait today, especially if you find one with all original trim and paperwork. Want something even rarer? The 1971 International Harvester 1110 Travelette 4x4. IH was already a niche player in the truck market, but the Travelette, the crew cab four-wheel drive pickup with a full-length bed, was practically mythical. Designed for ranchers and utility crews, it was the kind of truck that could haul your cattle, your crew, and your camper, all in one go. They didn't make many, and those that survived the work life are usually held together by rust and ranch dust. But restored, it's one of the coolest vintage trucks nobody ever talks about. Then there's the oddity from over the border, the Fargo D100. Sold only in Canada, Fargo was Dodge's alternative badge, used mainly for dealership exclusivity and regional quirks. The D100s were mechanically identical to their Dodge cousin, but wore different emblems and trim. In the 70s, a few were ordered with special paint codes, export-only configurations, and ultra-rare drivetrain setups. Some came with slant 6s, others with full-fat 440s. Try finding a numbers matching one today. You'll be waiting a long time. And finally, the truck even collectors forget, the 1979 Volkswagen Rabbit pickup. Yeah, it barely qualifies as a 70s truck since it squeaked in at the very end of the decade. And yeah, it's front-wheel drive, but it's rare, it's weird, and it was built in Pennsylvania just long enough to confuse everyone. Known officially as the VW Caddy in Europe, the US version barely made a blip in the market before vanishing. Lightweight, efficient, and quirky to the bone, the Rabbit pickup is what happens when you give a German car maker a few too many beers and ask them to build a farm truck. These weren't just trucks, they were cultural misfits, limited runs, dealer specials, crossbreeds between function and fantasy, built in tiny batches, forgotten for decades, and now they're back in the spotlight, one barn find at a time.